So therefore, with what was happening in Afghanistan, with what was happening in Kashmir, Pakistan's social fabric was totally torn asunder. There was Kalashnikov and drug culture in Pakistan, and extremists ready to fight in Afghanistan, in Kashmir, on their own. Mujahideen groups emerged, dozens of them. Then comes 9/11 and this terrorist attack on the World Trade Center. And quite obviously, a military action that followed in Afghanistan. The military action led to the defeat of the Taliban. And this defeat was with the assistance of the Northern Alliance, which was Tajik, Uzbek, Hazara, the three other ethnic groups, the minority ethnic groups. And Taliban were Pakhtuns. But having defeated the Taliban, my strategy always had been, and I used to say, all Taliban are Pakhtuns, but all Pakhtuns are not Taliban. Therefore, we need to have political arrangements with the saner elements of Pakhtuns, which have always ruled Afghanistan historically. To date, this has not been done. Therefore, this was the third blunder. We alienated the entire 50% Pakhtun population, pushed them towards the Taliban. That was the third blunder that we committed. So this much for the historical perspective and the brief history of the region. Now let's leave that aside and come to the present. And I would like to tell you the net outcome after these 30 years of conflict, whatever I have tried to explain to you in a very brief manner. Firstly, Al-Qaeda. As I said, the Mujahideen coalesced into them. Initially, they were Arabs, but later on, with the splintering of Soviet Union, we got Chechens and Uzbeks. They were the greater fighters. But now again, after taking so much action, mainly it is Arabs who are left there. And they are few in numbers. They are not large in numbers. Because of the successful operations of the military and intelligence of Pakistan. Most of the Al-Qaeda fighters were apprehended or eliminated by Pakistan Army and Pakistan intelligence. Al-Qaeda, ladies and gentlemen, has an international orientation and they have a global agenda. They are linked to political problems in the Middle East and they have grievances against their own governments. They are not the products of poverty and illiteracy, but they are products of anger and despair within their own societies. Al-Qaeda now, ladies and gentlemen, has become more of a brand name. It is a symbol. It is not under any centralized command emanating from Osama bin Laden or Zawahiri. It is a symbol which is used by all terrorists around the world. It has no centralized command. That has to be noted. As far as Pakistan and Afghanistan are concerned, there is no doubt in our minds that Al-Qaeda must be eliminated from that region. And that is what the Pakistan Army is trying its best to do. Now let's come to Taliban. Who are the Taliban? Ladies and gentlemen, with gradual, after 9/11, after the defeat of the Taliban, it was Al-Qaeda which was dominant. They had financial influence over the Taliban, but gradually with Al-Qaeda being militarily acted against and weakened, it was the resurgence of Taliban which came about. And now Taliban is the stronger element. They have a narrow outlook. They just want to control the region of Afghanistan because they ruled that for 90% of Afghanistan for about 6 years. They do remain under the influence of Al-Qaeda previously because of financial assistance that came from them. Even now, I think, to an extent, I think Al-Qaeda does have an influence over Taliban. They have support and safe havens in Pakistan. And in the Pakistan's tribal agencies, there are Taliban now, local Taliban in the tribal agencies also. The Taliban are the products of poverty and illiteracy. In Pakistan, they are not a monolith. They are not under one command again. In various places of Pakistan, in the tribal agencies, in the different tribal agencies, or you may have read about the operations in Swat, there are religious leaders, all of whom call themselves Taliban. So there is no one defense line under one command, which some misperceptions in the West, that why doesn't an army of Pakistan, which has 500,000 troops, destroy the Taliban? There is no defense line. There is no one element, one entity under one command. They are all different groups. Even in the extremists within our society call themselves Taliban. So therefore, it's a complex situation, but I want to tell you that these are in minority. And to give you a feel of the minority, out of a 170 million population of Pakistan, the population of the frontier province is about 12 to 13% only. And the population of the tribal agencies, the 7 tribal agencies where there is extremism, there is Taliban, there is Al-Qaeda, is only 2%. And in the 2 tribal agencies where they are concentrated maximum Taliban is South and North Waziristan agency, the population is only 0.3% of Pakistan. So please don't think that the whole of Pakistan is probably reigned. There are Taliban all over Pakistan. So this much for the Taliban. The counter strategy against them has to be to isolate Taliban of Afghanistan from the Taliban of Pakistan through border control measures. I won't go into the details. Pakistan did take a lot of measures. We spoke about mining the border. We spoke about fencing the border. Something was done, some not agreed. But we think that we ought to follow a 3-track approach: military, political, and socio-economic. On the military side, in Afghanistan, there is a shortage of force. In military terms, what we call dilution in space. When a force is less than the total space that they have to control, we call it dilution of space. We need to inject more forces. And may I say, we have to defeat it whatever it costs. So therefore, may I suggest to this August gathering, we have to be able to accept casualties, ladies and gentlemen.